Hello everyone, good evening and assalamu alaikum. I hope you are doing very well. So we meet again after a 1 week gap, and I am back live once again from my page Manju's English Solutions. Each and every Friday at 8:30 p.m. I conduct a live session on various topics of ELT, linguistics, English language and English grammar. So today I am conducting this live session on a particular topic of linguistics. So the students of linguistics who are interested, they are welcome to join this live session as early as possible. So today's topic is linguistics and its scientific qualities. I repeat, linguistics and its scientific qualities. First of all, I would like to give the definition of linguistics. What is linguistics about? What actually linguistics is? Linguistics actually is a word that has been derived from two Latin words. The word linguistics has actually been derived from two Latin words, lingua and istics. The Latin word lingua means tongue or language, and the Latin word istics means science. So etymologically, we can define linguistics as a scientific study of language. I repeat, linguistics is the scientific study of language. It is not the scientific study of a particular language. Rather, it is the scientific study of all languages in general. So linguistics doesn't deal with a particular language. Rather, it deals with all the languages in general. It is a scientific study of language. So why linguistics is considered to be a science? That is the point. That is the burning question. Because we know that English is a subject of arts, but linguistics is actually a subject of science. In Bangla, linguistics means bhasha bigyan. I repeat, in Bengali, linguistics means bhasha bigyan. So why linguistics is considered to be a science? There must be some qualities that makes linguistics as a subject of science. I am going to talk about those qualities today. Number one scientific quality of linguistics is collecting data and generating hypotheses. I repeat, collecting data and generating hypotheses. Well, a researcher of linguistics, a researcher who actually researches on a particular language or languages in general, is known as linguist. In Bengali, we call them bhashabid. So a linguist actually collects data and generates hypotheses. Let me give you an example. Suppose Jagadish Chandra Bosu, when he did experiment on trees, he actually came to the conclusion after his research that trees have lives like us. That means trees are living beings. So for that, he collected data. He collected all the qualities or characteristics or attributes of trees, and he previously had the qualities or characteristics of a living being or a living creature. So what he did, he actually tried to find the similarities between the data of the trees and the data of a living being. And when he found that most of the data or characteristics of the trees match with the qualities or characteristics of a living being, then he got the conclusion that trees have lives. So similarly, when a linguist researches on a particular language or languages in general, he does exactly the same thing. He collects data on that particular language or those languages, and then he tries to generate a hypothesis. That means after collecting those data, he actually does some experiment, and thereby he cuts a conclusion and generates a hypothesis from those collected data. Just like Jagadish Chandra Basu did. He collected the data of the trees and matched those data with the data of the living creatures, and he found similarities. 95% data matched with the data of the living creatures, and that's why he cut the conclusion or generated the hypothesis trees have lives. Similarly, a linguist does the same thing. He collects data of those languages that he research on, and then he generates a hypothesis or creates a theory or theorem. So this is the first quality of linguistics for which we can consider linguistics as a subject of science, because a linguist collects data and generates hypotheses like any other scientist. Now the second qualities. Linguistic theories are not static. I repeat, linguistic theories are not static. That means linguistics, the theories of linguistics can be changed. Those are not static. That means theories can change from time to time if somebody can come up with a better logic or a better explanation. If a linguist comes up with a better logic or better research, and thereby if he can proves the previous research or theory wrong, then the updated one will count. Just like in case of science, we see the same thing. The atomic model given by Rutherford was rejected by the atomic model given by or provided by Bohr. So Bohr's atomic model denies the atomic model of Rutherford because his model was updated one, and he proved the previous one wrong. And similarly, if we talk about some other things, previously it was believed that the sun moves around the earth. The sun moves around the earth. It was the theorem at a time, but it was actually a wrong theory. Galileo proved it wrong. He first of all proved that the earth moves around the sun. It is not the sun, rather it is the earth that moves around the sun. So the updated theory was granted because Galileo has been able to prove that. So in case of linguistics, if a linguist or a researcher of linguistics can come up with better logic, if he can prove the previous theorem or theory is wrong, then the updated one will count. So linguistics and its theories are amendable. Those are changeable. That means linguistic theories are not static. If somebody can come up with better logic and explanation, the updated one will definitely count. So that is why we can consider linguistics as a subject of science. Now let us talk about the next scientific quality of linguistics. That is use of scientific equipment. For scientific research, each and every scientist uses scientific equipments. Similarly, a linguist does the same thing. He also uses several scientific equipments for his research. Like there are so many scientific equipments. I can name some of those: speech meter, breathing flask, electric vocal tract. So these scientific equipments are used most of the time to do research on a particular language. Just like, whenever we have come to know about the speech sounds and their, about the speech organs especially, how they are actually articulated, dental sound, labiodental sound, and palatal sound. This kind of sounds are there. So how did they measure those things? They definitely used some kind of scientific equipments. Voice sounds, voiceless sounds, how actually a linguistic measured those things. They use scientific equipments for sure, and thereby they have been able to generate the place of articulation and manner of articulation of various sounds. So scientific equipments are used by a linguistic or a researcher of language, and that is why linguistics can also be considered as a science, because scientific equipments are used most of the time in case of the researches of linguistics. Now let us talk about the next scientific quality of linguistics, that is closeness with natural science. I repeat, closeness with natural science. Each and every science is related to other sciences or other branches of sciences. Like if you actually do research on physics, definitely you will have to know mathematics. Physics has got connection with mathematics. Mathematics has got connection with physics. Astrophysics has got connection with physics. Biochemistry has got connection with biology and chemistry. So, closeness with natural science is there. Each and every science is related to another science, another branch of science. In the same way, for doing research on a particular language, a linguist has to take help from other science as well. That means closeness with natural science is there. A linguist always uses other science or other branches of sciences for his research. Just like if I talk about the articulation of speech sounds, if a linguist does research on the articulation of speech sounds, definitely he needs to take help of biology, because dental sound, labiodental sound, palatal sound, glottal sounds, voiceless sounds. So if you want to do research on the articulation of these speech sounds, then definitely you need to take help of biology. So linguistics has got connection with biology as well. And if I talk about psycholinguistics, then definitely how language is produced, how human brain functions in case of producing language and comprehending language, then definitely linguistics takes help from neuroscience as well. That means linguistics has got connection with neuroscience as well. So linguistics has got association or relation or connection with various branches of sciences, and that is why we can consider linguistics as a subject of science. Now let us move on with the next quality or characteristics of linguistics, another scientific quality, that is the use of inductive and deductive approach. I repeat, the application or use of inductive and deductive approaches. So linguistics uses both inductive and deductive approaches for research. A linguist always applies inductive and deductive approaches for his scientific research. What is inductive approach? In case of inductive approach, there is no prior theory or previous theory. A researcher actually generates a hypothesis or theory from his personal observation and experience. Just like Newton, he was sitting under an apple tree, an apple fell to the ground, and he actually, from that observation, he raised a question: why did the apple fall to the ground? Why didn't it go up? So from his personal observation, he created a theory, he generated a hypothesis. What was the hypothesis? The hypothesis was the theory of gravity. So he didn't have any prior theory. He created the theory or invented the theory from his personal observation or experience. And in case of deductive approach, there would be a prior theory, and the scientist will do his research from the prior theory that is already there, and he would try to develop the theory. Either he would try to develop the theory or create a new theory using the prior or previous theory. So one theory will be derived from another theory. This is known as deductive approach. So in case of inductive approach, the scientist doesn't have any theory. He will create the theory or hypothesis from his personal observation or experience. And in case of deductive approach, a scientist will definitely have a prior theory. He will try to develop it. Either he will try to develop it or he will provide a new theory using the prior or previously given theory. So that is what deductive approach is all about. So in case of linguistic researches, a linguist follows both these approaches. He uses or applies both inductive and deductive approaches. If I give you another example, if I talk about the experiment of Jagadish Chandra Basu, he already had a previous theory with him. That means the characteristics of living being. But the characteristics of the trees he actually collected. He collected the data of the trees, the qualities or characteristics of the trees. But he previously had the qualities or characteristics of a living being or a living creature. What he did, he matched the qualities or characteristics of the trees with the qualities or characteristics or data of a living creature. So he applied both inductive and deductive approaches here, because he personally observed the qualities and characteristics of a tree, and previously he had the qualities or characteristics of living being. So he applied both these approaches, inductive and deductive. So a linguist similarly applies both inductive and deductive approaches in case of his research. That means either he will have a prior theory or he will create a new theory by his own personal observation and experience, by his own data, by collecting data by himself or thyself. So that is why linguistics can be considered as a subject of science. Now let us talk about the statement of R.H. Robbins. R.H. Robbins thinks that there are three major qualities of linguistics for which we can consider it as a subject of science. He talks about three major qualities or characteristics of linguistics. Number one is exhaustiveness. That means adequate treatment of all necessary materials or elements. That means all the necessary materials should be treated equally. If something is eliminated by mistake, or if you eliminate a major part or element, then definitely that will not count as a theory. If I give you an example, just like Jagadish Chandra Basu, when he actually did research on trees, he cut the conclusion through his scientific research that trees have life. How did he prove it? First of all, he collected data of the trees, and if he by mistake eliminates some of the major qualities or characteristics of a tree, then definitely there might be some sort of lacking in his research. That will not count as a theory because there will be a lacking. So adequate treatment of all necessary elements should be there. If there is lack of adequate treatment, then that will not count as a theory. So in case of linguistic research, the similar things happens. And that is why linguistics can be considered as a subject of science. Now let us talk about the next quality that R.H. Robbins talks about, that is consistency. That means there should not be any kind of contradiction between the elements that are taken as sample. Suppose somebody asks that where is Manju sir? A student asked another student that where is Manju sir? The student said Manju sir is either in the library or he is conducting a class inside the classroom. So his statement is full of contradiction. He is not sure. He is saying that either he is in the library or he is conducting the class inside the classroom. So that means he is not sure. So in case of science, there is no scope for contradiction. There should not be any kind of contradiction between elements. So what should be his answer? His answer should have been, I don't know where Manju sir is at this moment. I don't have any idea. So that is the theory. That means there should not be any kind of contradiction between the elements. If there is any kind of contradiction between the elements or samples that are provided or taken for granted, then that will not count as a theory. In case of linguistics, the similar things happens. If I give you another example, just like Jagadish Chandra Bosu did experiment on trees, he collected the data of trees, and he matched those data with the data of living beings. So he found that 95% or 96% qualities of trees match with the qualities of a living being, and that's why he cut the conclusion or generated a hypothesis that trees have life. But if there was a contradiction between the elements, that means if 75% qualities matched, 25% didn't match, then there would be a lot of contradiction between the elements. So that couldn't have been granted or accepted as a theorem then. But there was not enough contradiction. I mean, there was not a big margin of contradiction between the elements that he has actually taken for granted. That means 96% qualities of trees matched with the qualities of living beings or attributes of living creatures, and that's why it can be considered as a theory, and it has been already accepted and established as a theory that trees have life. So similarly, a linguist for his scientific research has to follow this technique. There should not be contradiction between the elements. If there is any kind of contradiction, then that cannot be considered as a theory, and that will lack the qualities to become a theorem or a theory or a doctrine. So that is why linguistics can be considered as a science. And last but not the least, the quality that or the characteristics that R.H. Robbins talks about, that is economy. Another quality of linguistics is economy that matches with the quality of science. Economy means actually theory should be as short as possible. If the theory is too lengthy, too descriptive, then that actually cannot be considered or granted as a theory. Theories should be as short as possible. That means a researcher has to be economical in case of providing or establishing a theory. Just like E is equal to mc square, F is equal to ma. Very short theory. But in this theory, there are a lot of things that you can actually consider. Or E is equal to mc square, it is the shortest theory ever existed. And F is equal to ma, very short theory. But these theories have got a lot of things inside it. And from these theorems or theories, many theories have been already developed or discovered. So theories need to be short. In case of linguistic theories, the similar things or same thing happens. Just like the rules of grammar, if you talk about the rules of grammar, first of all, language has appeared. It is not actually grammar that has appeared at the beginning. It is actually the language which has come first. Then came the rules of language, that means grammar. So how those rules were generated? A linguist did some research on a particular language, and then he provided those theory. Even the theories of language acquisition, behaviorist theory, acculturation theory, cognitive theory, monitor model theory, there are numerous numbers of language acquisition theories. So how these theories were generated? A linguist did research on languages, and thereby they provided these theories or theorems. So these are the qualities of linguistics that makes it as a subject of science. I repeat, linguistics is a scientific study of language in general, and it is a scientific study, it is a subject of science, and that is well proved. I have already explained why linguistics can be considered as a subject of science. I hope you understand. So that's all about my discussion on linguistics and its scientific qualities. Now I would like to talk about something that is each and every Friday at 8:30 p.m. I am conducting this live session. If you have any suggestion, any query, any question regarding English language, ELT, English grammar and linguistics, you can ask me. You can write questions on the comment sections during the live session, or even you can text me by texting through the inbox of the page. You can ask me questions. You can talk about your problems. You can raise your voice. If you actually come up with your problems, then I will be able to provide you with solutions. I will try my best to give my very best to all of you. So anyway, that's all for tonight. In my next live session, I will definitely come back with another topic of English language, English grammar, ELT or linguist whatsoever. So if you have any suggestion, any query that this topic should be discussed, I have problems in this topic or in this subject of ELT linguistics or English grammar or English language, then that would be convenient for me. I will try to discuss those things on my live sessions, and thereby I will try to provide you with my solutions. I'll try my best to provide you with my very best. So this page, Manjur's English Solutions, has been created for you guys. So any problem that you face, you can ask me without any hesitation. So thank you very much for joining the live session tonight. That's all. Goodbye from here and take care. See you again on next Friday at 8:30 p.m. with another new topic. Till then, it's goodbye and good night.